Good morning. Sitting here patiently waiting for the whirling ball of death to kick in. Happy Sunday, happy Saturday, wherever you are in the world. Today, I have a very important topic because it's something that affects all of us. And over the years, I have to say, I've always found it really weird that people just want to focus on eating pink salt or, whatever. We talked about this last week. It's very easy to focus on the tangibles and the things that we can quantify, like, I can go buy pink salt. That's easy instead of white salt. Easy, right? But there's so much more to chronic disease. Doesn't matter what you've got going on. And many of us here have so much more than just thyroid disease, just lipedema, or, all the other things that go along with it. There's so much more involved. It's not just getting the right doctors. It's not just getting the right medication. It's not just, surrounding yourself with the right people. It's not just having enough money for the treatments. Okay. So in which case that has a knock-on effect to what you do for a living and how, all the things to do with the money side of things. We tend to forget that that's part of healing. If we want to heal, we actually need the money. Sadly, that's the way our society works, to do all the things that we need to do to make ourselves better. Whether that's from the lower end of, which isn't that cheap, buying compressions if you've got lipedema, or getting your medication, or finding a thyroid specialist, or finding, getting a script for natural thyroid hormone instead of Synthroid. So it doesn't matter, or whether or not it's having surgery and weight loss surgery and skin removal surgery and liposuction for lipedema. It doesn't matter what it is, at which end of the spectrum the money or the price tag falls. It's part of our life. We've got to find the money for these things. And I don't think enough people are talking about this. And the reason I want to talk about it is because we've been packing up, we've been selling our stuff to go overseas. And it has absolutely blown my mind how much stuff we have that doesn't bring us joy, doesn't serve a purpose, doesn't have a function. We don't use it. We don't eat it, like all the things. It has like tens of thousands of dollars worth of stuff we have already sold, and we haven't even got to the stuff we actually use, like chairs, couches, TVs, that kind of thing. And it just has been blowing my mind. The other thing we've been doing since about September last year is we've been tracking everything. We've never done this before because we're privileged in so much as, I say we're privileged and unlucky, but my husband works so hard, has done since he was 15, in the same industry. So he's a company man. He works for a big corporation, which allows for us to have a good lifestyle, because it's not just luck. He's put the work in. He's put in the 12 to 15 hour days in, and worked away from home and all that kind of thing. But we are still in a privileged position, which means we don't have to budget if we don't want to. And many people that live in this company town don't budget, but they find themselves having to get second jobs, or they find themselves always paying things off. This is the town of boats, caravans, all sorts of things, right? They call it golden handcuffs, because the longer you stay here, even though it's not the best place in the world to live, it's not the worst by any means, but it's very hot here. So a lot of people don't, and there's not much infrastructure, so people don't want to stay here, but they get caught here because they have this lifestyle of stuff that they grow accustomed to, golden handcuffs, and can't leave because everybody becomes accustomed to these niceties and these things. But in the lead up to going overseas, as I said, we started tracking what we spend, and we have no other bills left now. We sold our house a couple of years ago. We have no debt. So everything now is about saving towards going overseas. And when we reach that goal, we reach that goal. We like to think we know when it's going to be, but life gets in the way. Anyway, in tracking our money and tracking what we've spent, just on groceries and things like that. And we all know the cost of living is insane, right? So the cost of groceries in itself, I have literally been writing in a spreadsheet, even the things like, what we spend morning. I've been tracking every cent we spend on groceries, on everything, subscriptions, insurance, you name it. The biggest aha has been what we spend at the grocery store. That's just insane to me, the cost of food and, everything that we spend. And we eat mostly carnivore, so it's mostly meat. However, that actually probably saves us money because we never throw anything away, whereas I used to throw a lot of veggies away that didn't get used, that kind of thing. But just everything is like $6, $8, $9. There's no $2 anymore, $1 anymore. It's just crazy. But as I look around the house, add to the groceries, looking around the house and the things that we've been selling to move on, I just look at all the things that I bought because I went shopping for something to do. Or, that looks nice when you're overseas. You're on a holiday, you buy it, and you never do anything with it. It gets tucked away in a drawer, and that all adds up. The amount of, even if I went around our house and with what we have left, because we still have a ton of stuff left, even though we've been doing this for 6 months now easily. If I put, I don't know, $2 on everything in this house, we'd still end up with tens of thousands of dollars because we have so much stuff, and it's crazy. And I think about the cost of, the compressions and seeing doctors and having surgeries and all that kind of thing. And you could not easily, but with all the stuff that you have right in front of your face, that if you really, really wanted to do something bigger, you could easily do it by selling stuff. We started selling at swap meets many years ago. I think they're called car boot sales overseas. And the very first one we ever did, it blew my mind that we made $1,000, on things that, I remember taking a wooden toilet roll holder, like it. And my husband was like, who is going to buy that? I kid you not, it was the first thing that sold for 50 cents. So we're talking probably 25, 28 years ago now. But I paid, I don't know, what, $3, $4, $5 for that toilet roll holder, and then must have changed it because I decided I wanted a matching set or matching things. They're a killer for the budget. And so I sold it because I found something nicer. It was perfectly usable and functional. So it's not that we made $1,000 at that swap meet. It's just that all those things that we sold probably cost us $10,000. So stuff, we get so caught up with stuff, and we're drowning in stuff as a society. We really are. And yet we're desperate and in overwhelm for all these extra things that we want to do to improve our health. And I just find it really, and it's not that we're not thinking about it. We just don't think about it, because when you're in overwhelm, you're looking for dopamine hits. You're looking for things that's going to make you feel good. So you shop, you buy the new thing, you buy the whatever. As an overweight person for 30 years, shoes, scarves, getting my nails done, those sorts of things was what made me happy, because I couldn't fit into clothes that I liked. So you do the best you can. But when I look at all the shoes that I've sold off and for, 200, as I said, privileged life, I get that, that I can afford to buy $200 shoes, but you're selling them off for $20, which is insane. But we don't think about that when I guess we don't put ourselves first when it comes to our health, and we will not think anything of spending money on our children if they need something. Don't give it another thought. Yep, he needs this. Yeah, drop thousands of dollars, not a problem. But when it comes to our own health and the things that we think we need to help, whatever that is, to help us move on, say we think we need to see that specialist endocrinologist, or that, oh no, we just really need compressions, or oh no, you know what, I do need weight loss surgery. Whatever it is, we don't seem to put ourselves first with, oh, you know what, I'm going to go without all these other things. The family's going to go without those endless subscriptions. How many families have got 5, 10 different streaming services so that they can have whatever dopamine they need at any given time? You know, sometimes all of those things could add up to the cost of the surgery you want, or the liposuction, and let's face it, these things we're talking tens of thousands of dollars, $10,000, $20,000. You know, this is pricey stuff in the kind of area when you're talking about lipedema, particularly. Thyroid disease, not so much, but thyroid disease, you are still always looking to feel better, right? So you'll still be looking for different modalities, different surgeries, different, not surgeries, but different doctors, different specialists that might help you feel better in the long run. But we don't think about what we're spending in our everyday life to get that dopamine hit to make us feel safe. Do you know, the thing with having stuff is, and my husband, he's a collector. It's a safety thing, right? When you have, as a human being, when you have stuff, it makes you feel safe, like you've got something, it's yours, right? So it's very much, and why I always talk about the inner work as well as everything else. You know, you can't box in chronic disease or any health issue to just, oh, it's a physical issue. The mind's involved, your traumas are involved, you know, what you've got going on in your life is involved, just as money's involved, and how you can afford things. And we often, the amount of money that was spent on stuff to make us feel safe is the money that could help us dig us out of that hole that we're feeling that we're in with our health. And I'm no different to anybody else. This is just literally my observation as we have been selling stuff, and as I've been packing down stuff, and as I've been clearing out cupboards going, why did I buy that? You know, it's, and last year, at the end of last year, I stopped having my nails done, waxing nails. Now that I've gone grey, that's like the easiest thing in the world, is that I don't, you know, and it's given me freedom, not just financial freedom, but freedom from, oh, there's not very many hairdressers up here that I'm happy with, to be honest, because my old hairdresser went and worked for the company. So she stopped doing hair. And after that, that was pretty much you know, the final decider of going grey. But when I added up, and from time to time I'd get lashes as well, because as I said, when you're overweight, all those things, you do anything you can to make yourself feel better, feel prettier, feel better, you know, feel like you're not overweight. Those things, you know, when at one point I realized, oh my God, this is hundreds and hundreds of dollars a month, right? So some months, not every month, but some months it might get to, say, $400 a month. And I'm not doing what every woman's doing. Like lashes for me, I have lashes when I'm going on holidays. That the rest of the time, no. And if you were to do all of those, which many women do, you know, that's $5,000 a year. That's a big dent in compressions, doctors, medications, all those sorts of things. But we think nothing of it because we're trying to make ourselves feel better. But even in that way, we've got to find a way to switch from short-term feeling better to the long-term feeling better. Okay, so while having chronic disease is expensive, and I can't even imagine how much money I have spent. Oh, well, let's just take 4 years of becoming a naturopath and clinical nutritionist, okay? That right there was well over $40,000 just for the tuition, right? So when I say trying to heal yourself costs money, I'm well aware of how much it costs. But we just don't think about the everyday stuff that we collect that could be going towards these things. And I just wanted to bring that to your attention because often we shop as a hobby. I was watching another YouTuber this morning and she paid off her mortgage in 5 years, right? Yes, she earns a lot of money through her YouTube channel and she admits that. However, one of the things she said is, I don't shop as a hobby. And I went, oh, yeah. How many times have we, met our girlfriends at the shops to go shopping for the day? I've done it all my life, Yeah, let's go shopping. Let's meet at the shops. We'll walk and talk, right? And shop and spend money. It's very easy to do. It's so easy to do. But I guess the key here is to suddenly look around yourself and straight away, even before you stop spending that money, you can start selling your stuff. And I can guarantee you, once you start selling your stuff, and if you connect it into your head, and like I've kept a spreadsheet of what I've sold things for and what they cost, it's eye-watering. It is absolutely eye-watering. All because we want, the matching, lovely looking house and which for us, we're not social people. We're hermits. Like, we don't have people coming around to look at our lovely house. So it's quite amusing to me to think about how, I have always, made sure everything matches and, let's get that because that looks right. There's very few things that I have sold so far that I have regretted selling. In fact, I can't even think of one thing that I go, oh, I probably shouldn't have sold that. Like, not a single thing. And there's a couple of things left, like a special picture that we've got and a few things like that I'm like, oh, but nobody wants it because it doesn't mean anything to anyone else. It only means something to my husband and myself. And, I asked my mother-in-law, do you want it? She was like, oh, it doesn't really match my house. And see, doesn't match my house. She's a great one. My mother-in-law is French and she is amazing at not buying things that you don't need. Right. I remember I think the first Christmas in my new family, I bought her new coffee mugs because she had all mismatched mugs. And in my head, it was like, oh, she needs new mugs, all nice matching mugs. She gave them away. She gave them away. I don't know. I didn't see them for a year or so. And I said, oh, what happened to the mugs I got you for Christmas? And she goes, oh, I gave them away. I said, why? She goes, I didn't need them. My mugs work. And that's hilarious to me that you can see somebody who just doesn't need stuff and is quite happy with the functioning item that she has. And yet I will go out and buy a matching set because I broke a glass, So I have spent money on things that just weren't necessary over the years. But when you look at the emotional side of why I was doing that, I had no control over my weight, right? With lipedema, you can't lose it through diet and exercise. So what did I have control over? I had control over the things around me. And so that makes you feel safe and like you've got something in, going for you that, oh, but, Kylie keeps a lovely house and, oh, look, everything matches. Nobody goes away and talks about that generally. Okay. It's just, if they do, I don't know, it's maybe they've got nothing better to do in their own lives. But I just want to bring to your attention that you're not stuck if you think you don't have enough money to do whatever it is that you believe is going to help you on the next step. Even with weight loss surgery, for me, yes, privileged. It was covered by our company health insurance, for which I am so grateful. We pay a pretty penny for that insurance. So it's not free. We pay for that, but it's paid for over time. It's like saving money, And but you can still have weight loss surgery. I know here in Australia, you can go on the waiting list to have it done free through the government. So everything's time and everything's effort. So, but you don't actually have to have the money in some cases. So I think the starting point is to look at, what do you want to do? What do you want to achieve? What is that going to cost? And work backwards. I do that with everything. What's the big picture? Because I'm a big picture person. And I do know that a lot of people aren't big picture people. I know that because of talking to my husband on our walks, and he's always talking about the next step, the next step, the next step. But I just look at the big picture and go, yeah, but. So to me, I look at the big picture and where do I want to be eventually with my health? What's the ideal look for me? How do I get there? And I work backwards and go, well, for that to happen, I need to have this surgery. And for me to lose my loose skin, I need to have this kind of surgery. And what kind of money do I need to do that? Can I do that with the help of the government? Can I do that with the help of health insurance? Or do I have to save for that? Okay, if I have to save for that, where is the money that's already existing in my world that I can find? And if it's not in savings, then is it in the stuff that is generally overflowing in most people's houses that we're just trying to find a new cupboard for, or rearrange things so that it doesn't look quite so we've got so much stuff? Get rid of it. It doesn't matter that you paid 10 times the amount for what you get for it. It will make you feel better in the long run, just getting rid of it, and you'll have money towards whatever it is that you're wanting to do with your health, which is far more important than having stuff around the house. So that was I'm just looking at my list over here. So I would encourage you, can you have a garage sale to pay for your compressions? Do you want a vibrating plate that you've seen everywhere that you think is going to be the answer for you? Okay, that's a couple of $100. What can you sell in your house to trade the stuff for something that might help your health? May not, it may, you don't know, right? But I do know one thing, and I do know that we all have far too much stuff. I've said this for a long time. When I first, many years ago, quick story, and this was when our son was 1 and my husband was working away. He was missing out on Jacob growing up. And so we sold the house, put all our stuff in storage, which we paid a fortune for over 5 years, and had it insured and all this sort of thing. Not once did I think, oh, I need to get something out of that shed. Instead, over that 5 years, we put stuff into that shed. Every time we'd come back, because we lived in a caravan, we went with him, so that we were with him, because he was living in a caravan anyway when he was away. So he would just come home to our caravan instead of other people's, instead of the work caravan. And over that 5 years, we kept putting stuff into that shed. Not once in 5 years did I go, oh, I need that XYZ that's in the storage shed. Not once. And the one thing that people said to me when I said we're selling a house, we're going with him to work, was, what are you going to do? Oh, no, what did they say? But what about your stuff? Literally said like that. I think I had maybe 3 or 4 people say, but what about your stuff? I'm like, what about my stuff? You sleep beside your husband every night. I don't. Our stuff, it's been a big thing for me over the years of why we get caught up with having stuff. And we're no different. I'm not saying I'm a minimalist, not by any means. We will be once we move to Asia, for sure. But who's to say once we settle down over there, once we find our forever space, that we don't then start accumulating stuff? Of course we will. I'll go out as soon as we're settled and buy an air fryer and a rice cooker and all the things, because we do that. But I'm just saying that we need to pay more attention to the funds, the cash that we have available to us in the houses that we're living in right now. We don't think about that as a source of revenue. And it doesn't matter that you paid 10 times more than it when you got it. You move it on. you move it on because you have something much more important to use that money for now. So that's all I wanted to say today, because it's been really playing on my mind as we sell stuff. So I hope that this inspires you to have a garage sale, go to a swap meet, do a car boot sale, because you will be gobsmacked at how much you can earn at these things and how quickly you can move stuff on. All right. Every time I do one and we walk away with a minimum swap meets, we walk away with a minimum of $500 minimum. That's a huge amount of money. That'll buy, a vibration plate and compressions, or it'll take you to a really specialized endocrinologist, or, for the sake of a Saturday morning, sitting somewhere and chatting to people. It's generally quite fun. And moving on stuff that you just don't need anymore. So that's me. I'm going to finish my cuppa. Hope you have a good weekend, and I will see you next Sunday. Bye.